You're welcome back. This is Breakfast Daily, and you know that tomorrow and Sunday we have This is Ghana, anything and everything about Ghana. And I love it, when we have to bring the Ghanaian in us out. And what better way can we tell our story than through films? And that is why you need to pay particular attention to this conversation that we are going to be having. And we have none other to help us decode this than the woman herself, the CEO of the National Film Authority right here in Ghana, Juliet Yasantua Asante. Now, when you hear somebody is called Yasantua, then you know what's in stock. Juliet, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Always looking super amazing.
Thank you. You as well. And always great to be on your show.
Absolutely. When we meet, we can talk about a whole lot of things, but for now, we started already.
Right.
We'll continue later.
Right.
And tomorrow, NFA will be at This is Ghana.
Definitely.
So we have a lot of time to talk about everything and just some more.
Yeah.
But for now, we are looking at the Africa Cinema Summit. Tell us about that. What is it?
So the Africa Cinema Summit basically is bringing together stakeholders in the film marketplace. So let's say cinema marketplace. Wow. So when you look at the marketplace of film, you have, say, festivals, cinemas, television. This, television is a pay TV, free on air, airline, all of that. But cinema remains the biggest marketplace. It's just like Accra. You have several markets, right? You have Medina, Carnation, but Makola is the biggest marketplace. Yeah. So until we enable the marketplace for film, we are going to hit a bottleneck, because if you develop not too long ago I was on your show even talking about shooting Ghana. So no matter how you develop the production side of things, if you don't develop the marketplace, you will hit a bottleneck, so to speak. And so our goal is to ensure that the cinema ecosystem is enabled. And interestingly, if you look at the entire continent, it's not just Ghana that don't have cinemas. So I'm going to now focus on cinemas, because that's what the Africa Cinema Summit is about. Right. If you take Ghana as a test case, I mean, Accra and Kumasi are the only places where you have cinemas. And even the one in Kumasi is struggling after COVID. Pretty much a couple of cinemas that were there closed down. In Accra, you have only Silverbird that is at Accra Mall and West Hills. You don't have cinemas in any other region. So even if you take the Ghana case, perhaps I can project and say 70% of Ghanaians have never been to the cinema, which also means that filmmakers are being deprived of the opportunity to grow, show their content and grow. Sometimes we try hotels, we try other places, but the cinema experience is on its own. Yeah. And beyond filmmakers, I mean, Ghanaians also deserve, a cinema is one of the cheapest form of entertainment. It's also a way of building community, and it's part of how the steps we can take to grow who we are as Ghanaians. Exactly. Yeah. To be able to tell our stories. Because if Ghanaian filmmakers don't grow in Ghana, we can grow anywhere else. But the entire continent of Africa has less than 1,000 cinemas. So it's not just Ghana.
Really?
Yeah, Nigeria, that say is almost 300 million, have less than 80 cinemas. South Africa is the largest, and they have less than 100 cinemas, and only centered in the white areas. If you come to other parts of Africa, it's sprinkled through. Whereas the rest of the world is inundated with cinemas. Why is Africa that soon will be larger than both India and China combined, will have the largest youth population? Why do we not have cinemas?
But let me get your thoughts on this. Is it because we take ourselves for granted? Because I always say that even right here in Ghana, everything about us is drama. Everything about us is acting, at funerals, at naming ceremonies, in church, at work. I mean, we are always acting.
Right.
So why don't we find a way to, package this and monetize it?
Yeah, so we used to have cinemas, some cinemas, and then it went down. Many of them became churches because religion, I mean, it's a whole story. Let me not go there. Yeah. But I think the important thing is now we are at the point where we are realizing that, look, this sector plus the entire creative sector according to UNESCO, is the largest employer on the continent.
Yes.
We have a lot of people we need to employ, so we need to facilitate the sector to grow. We are focused on tourism. One of the best ways of pushing your tourism numbers is through film. People see, you know, your locations, and then they want to come and visit and all that. So that's basically the story. And we set out, you know, when you say, why don't we monetize it? Those who, if you go into cinema, you realize it's an entire ecosystem. The architects, the builders, the investors, those who supply the content, the studios, those who supply, when you go into the cinema, the seating, the screens, all of it's an
the popcorn,
entire,
the popcorn,
the ice cream, the Coke, all of those things. It doesn't just happen. You know, recently Barbie happened, you saw all the costuming and all those things. Is, to use your word, monetized. It brings a lot of money to the studios and countries, and also if we do it, it just, you know, is to our own benefit. So those who invest in the sector, in that ecosystem, pretty much were not aware of Africa as a player. In 2021, I ended up at one such meetings, and there are 3 of them in the world. I ended up at one, and they were talking about how do we increase our cinema numbers, you know, after COVID, how do we bring people back into the cinemas and all that. And I got up on stage and I was like, hey, by the way, whilst you're talking about how do you increase your cinemas in already saturated markets because you've hit a ceiling, Africa is at a floor level, and Africa is cinema's biggest opportunity in the 21st century. And that pretty much, that statement, and then we further went on to say that, and Ghana is opening its doors, Ghana is the gateway, Africa is the destination. It is that statement and that pitch, basically, that got the cinema world interested in us. And I'm happy that the National Film Authority then went to work. We've worked really, really hard. And then we brought on partners. So Silverbird is Ghana's basic, I wouldn't say only, but perhaps most reputable cinema. And Film One Group is the largest cinema chain on the continent of Africa. So we partnered with them to make sure that the entire world comes to Ghana, because it's only when they come here, then many of them have never even experienced Ghana, Africa before. So when they come here, they get to, you know, experience the continent. Business deals will happen, conversations will happen, conversations around perhaps even what is the future of cinema for Africa, because perhaps the model that we know is not what we want. So all of those conversations, how do we perhaps up the quality of our content, all of those conversations will happen.
Super. So when is the summit happening?
It's happening from the 14th to the 16th of November.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're just in Lagos to do the announcement. It's just the announcement, but the interesting thing is the world is calling it one of the most, the word that has been used is that one of the most pivotal events to ever happen in African film industry. So that for us is exciting. Registrations are coming in, people are calling from all over the world. In fact, this thing has blown more than we thought it would.
Wow. So tell us how it's going to be, you know, so the summit, are we going to be watching films? Are we going to be having workshops? What exactly is going to happen from the 14th to the 18th?
Right.
Yes, of November. What will happen?
Right. So most importantly, the conversations that need to happen will happen, i.e. what's the future of cinema? Are there opportunities? Why are perhaps Ghanaians not going to the cinema? Why are Africans, you know, what can we do to improve the cinema going culture? How can we improve our content quality? All of those conversations will happen. Because we are doing this as a continent, and so other African countries are coming, so there will be country pitches. So Ghana will pitch to the investors and stakeholders and be like, you know, this is why you should invest in Ghana. Nigeria will pitch, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Rwanda, you know, Uganda, Namibia. All these countries I mentioned are countries that are already confirmed. They will all pitch. Also, studios sometimes, you know, because this is an engagement as well, the supplier of content, perhaps the studio. So we have studios like Disney has confirmed, Universal, Paramount, we are speaking with all of them. They'll talk about what is their slate. The cinemas that are investing in content on the continent, including Film One, is also going to talk about their slate, what to expect, and all of that. And then there will be networking, there will be business deals, most importantly. Architects will be talking to builders, hotels, you know, perhaps is hotel a key partner whilst we try to fill in the gap. Is our hotels a stopgap measure? We're already talking to the Hotel Association of Ghana. So, you know, all of those real estate, developers, all of those conversations, some deep, deep conversations will be happening. Yeah.
Now, I must commend the work that has really gone into it, because, I mean, sitting far, you know, and looking at what has been going on, I've been having my own conversations, you know, here and there about the summit. But can we contain the volumes of people coming? And I mean, we are trying to rekindle the whole interest.
Yeah.
Can we contain the huge numbers?
Good question. Already we are asking ourselves that question because, as you can imagine, I mean, we are doing it at Moving Pick and Silverbird, and Moving Pick can take so many numbers. Already we've exceeded our registration, you know, so we are now we are thinking through, because the registrations are just coming. Last night, for instance, someone sent me a message on LinkedIn. The person was the production manager, a location manager for Mission Impossible.
Ooh.
Yeah, the last one that came. And she's like, I want to come and talk. And I want to talk about creating new film locations outside of the U.S. Is the same person who also was the production manager for Argo. Ooh. So, you know, Argo starring Ben Affleck. Mission Impossible, we all know, is Tom Cruise. And I'm like, oh my God. So those kind of registration, you know, Universal reached out, Disney reached out, you know, cinemas across the continent and beyond reaching out and saying we want to be there. So we are thinking through how, obviously, not everyone can go into the room because we're already exceeding our numbers, and there are some key players that need to be in the room. So we are still thinking through, you know, how to go about this. Perhaps there'll be a virtual element and all of that. We can't accommodate everyone, but we also need to appreciate that as Ghana, we step forward to do something like this, and the world has taken it and is running with it. I think it's a very prideful moment for our country.
Yeah. Now, in your closing remarks, tell us, is there something that we have to do, citizens, because we know that we are supporting the NFA to do this, but what should we do?
What should citizens do? First of all, pay attention. Get involved. I think Ghanaians need to just accept that, look, the film sector does several things. Beyond creating jobs for Ghanaians and all that, it's about mindset, it's about representation. And Ghanaians feel a lot of pride. I mean, those days, you know, Ghanaian always felt pride when we see our films out there. And even now that we don't see our films on the streamers and all of that, people are complaining. But, you know, the film industry is not an island. And so Ghanaians need to take charge, i.e. drive, i.e. this is what we want. This is the quality we want. We don't want this. We don't want that. We want that. When the films come out, we need to go to the cinemas. We need to get involved. We need to talk about it. Sometimes, you know, when films are released from outside, we get more involved and then, you know, I'm happy to say that Silverbird over the last couple of months have also been improving the user experience. So, for instance, with Barbie and with, say, Avatar and all, they created a beautiful set where people could go and take pictures. We continue to encourage Silverbird to do so for Ghanaian films as well and African films as well. Ghanaians should go to the cinema and enjoy the cinematic experience and just pretty much get into the business, get into the business of filmmakers. That's what Ghanaians can do.
Super. You know, so when the president said we should be citizens and not just spectators, he wasn't just talking about politics. Film and cinema here in Ghana was also part of it. Juliet, thank you very much. The true Yasantua in you is at play, and we look forward to an amazing experience, you know, with the Africa Cinema Summit in November. Thank you very much.
I'm humbled. I'm humbled to be the driver of this. I'm truly humbled.
Well done.
To have the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And so we all need to tell our story through our films. This is Breakfast Daily. We'll be right back.